I really can't believe it's already been 2 years since I started getting serious about this channel. It's something that I had been thinking about for a really long time. And although it's challenging, sometimes I don't feel like I have enough time to focus on it. There are, a number of excuses come up along the way. I feel like I've been able to be pretty consistent. And at the end of the day, I'm having a ton of fun. The reason why I'm having fun is because apart from this channel, I also own a video production company. So I'm out with clients and I'm shooting in all different types of scenarios. And I like to experiment. I also like to share with you all how I use this equipment. There's so many different ways that you can use a camera and a lens and audio that it's fun to kind of put that information out there. And I really enjoy when you all chime in the comments and kind of let me know what you're doing or how you're using the equipment. It's how I learn about new equipment, and I could go on and on. So long story short, for all of you who've been around, thank you so much. I plan on continuing to share my insight, and I also am really looking forward to continuing to learn from all of you. So with all that said, let's talk about camera gear. A few weeks ago, I did create a video that gave you an overview of my studio space and kind of how I set it up and how I use it. What I didn't do was talk specifically about cameras, microphones, or lenses. And one of the biggest questions that I get asked the most often is, what camera do you recommend? What I'm going to do today is just consolidate all of that information. I am going to actually share one camera with you, 2 lens recommendations, and a few audio or microphone recommendations if you're looking to start a YouTube channel or if you want to upgrade your equipment to really make your setup shine. That's what I'm going to cover in today's video. Right now, I'm shooting on the Sony FX3 and I'm using the 24mm f1.8 lens. I have the top handle attached to the camera and I'm using a Shure SM7B. Now this setup is expensive, but I think that it gives a look that is very desirable for a lot of you. Up until now, I have been filming with this exact setup, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the camera that I recommend and share one of the lens options with you and start to talk a little bit about audio. But before I switch over, I want you to just notice the background. I think a lot of people are really looking for a blurry background when it comes to a talking head video like this. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, and ease of use is another thing that I think a lot of you are looking for, and also something that's going to sound and look really good. So let's hop over and I will switch over to the other camera. You're now looking at the camera that I recommend. It might look very similar to what you were just looking at a moment ago. That was the Sony FX3 with the 24mm f1.8 lens. And the reason why I love that setup so much is because you get that nice blurry background. So if you are filming YouTube videos, I think that's something that we all like to have, is that blurry background. Now you can see I still have that using this setup. So what you're looking at right now is the Sony FX30. It's the APS-C version of the FX3. It's paired with the Sigma 16mm f1.4. And this a 16mm lens is equivalent to that 24mm lens that you were just looking at a moment ago. I think there's a misconception when it comes to APS-C cameras. So first of all, if you don't know the difference between a full frame and an APS-C camera, full frame cameras have a larger size sensor and APS-C cameras have a smaller size sensor. But as you can see from this angle, I'm still going to be able to accomplish that blurry background look or that cinematic look and feel that I think we all have come to really love so much. So the FX30 paired with the 16mm f1.4 is going to be the equivalent of that full frame FX3 24mm lens. And you can see for talking head shots, this setup is fantastic. Just like the FX3, the FX30 is a camera that I can shoot in 4K to my heart's content. It's not going to overheat. I'm going to be very forward with you all. When I am in here shooting talking head videos for my YouTube channel, you think that it wouldn't take long to film a 10-minute video, but sometimes I'm shooting for at least an hour continuously on a camera. So if I'm using a camera that can potentially overheat, especially if I'm recording in 4K, well, I'm going to run into issues. The FX30 is fantastic because it has the same body as the FX3. I've never had this camera overheat on me. I can shoot in 4K 60. I can shoot in 120 to my heart's content. And the only thing that's stopping me is battery life and room on my SD card. The other thing that's great about the FX30 is that if you purchase the top handle along with the body, then you can plug an XLR microphone into the setup. So I'm going to recommend the Shure SM7B. I know that this is a pricier microphone, but this microphone is a dynamic microphone. And what that means is that if you are recording in a room that's not sound treated, which is probably 99% of people on YouTube recording videos, a dynamic microphone is fantastic because it's going to reduce the amount of echo that's going on around you. I live in Las Vegas. Lots of times I have a ceiling fan going, air conditioning's going, heat might be going as well. And because I'm using this dynamic microphone and I'm placing the microphone closer to my mouth, it's going to reduce that background noise. So although I do recommend the Shure SM7B, there are plenty of dynamic microphones out there. Because this is an XLR microphone, I can plug it directly into the handle of the camera. And that way, when I record my video, both the audio and the video are combined into one file. So when I go to edit, it saves time on my editing workflow, and it just makes things so much easier. And just like that, I switched the audio out to my second microphone recommendation. So here's the thing about microphones is if you buy one, chances are you're probably going to need to buy two, because anytime you want to do an interview, or if you have two people that you want to capture, you yourself might eventually want to start a podcast, a video podcast of some sort. And well, if you want guests, you're probably going to need two microphones. So remember, my microphone recommendation has to do with being able to remove any background noise. So these wireless microphones, this one is the Rode Wireless Pro. I also use the DJI microphones. These are fantastic because you can have two microphones that run into one receiver. And again, all of your audio is going to be baked into that one single file. So it makes editing and all your post-production workflow a breeze when you do this. The other reason why I like these wireless microphones is because they record internally. So now I have a backup. So for some reason, the audio that is being captured on my file is corrupt or is too loud or too soft, and I'm unable to use the audio for that particular video, then in this case, I can pull those audio files off of these microphones. And additionally, these also record in 32-bit float. I'll leave that for an entirely different video. 32-bit float is great because you can scream as loud as you want, or you can whisper and you can be as soft as you want, and you can recover those audio files, and it saves the day. So with all of that said, I either suggest purchasing a dynamic microphone for YouTube, plugging it directly into the FX30, or taking advantage of these small size wireless microphones. Now you don't have to hold it. You can also place it on your shirt. They come with lav mics and all different types of setups. But if you want to purchase microphones, these kits include two microphones. And so by purchasing it, you'll be all set. I did mention that I have two lens recommendations. I think you have seen the 16mm at work. It looks fantastic. And this is a great lens for the talking head portion of your video. But if you want to capture B-roll, like I have B-roll in most of my videos because I talk about tech gear, I like to incorporate B-roll of that specific gear in my videos. And in that case, what I'm going to recommend for the Sony FX30 is the Viltrox 27mm f1.2 lens. A 27mm APS-C lens is equivalent to about a 40mm lens if you were going to purchase the same lens for a full frame camera. The reason why this lens is so special because it goes all the way down to f1.2. So it will work very well in low light. It's going to give you a creamy, bokeh background. And if you really want to shoot B-roll that highlights whatever object you're capturing while blurring out the background, this lens is fantastic. It's small, it's lightweight, it's budget friendly, and keep an eye on Viltrox. They're putting out fantastic lenses for APS-C cameras, and this is definitely one that if you're capturing B-roll, you should consider. We are back on the FX3 paired with the Shure SM7B. I have this microphone plugged directly into that handle, to the top handle of this camera, and you can see that the quality is comparable. Now, I think there's a misconception when it comes to full frame versus APS-C, and I think a lot of people think that you can't get that nice blurry background. Maybe the camera doesn't perform as well in low light. And I'll tell you what, the amount of time that I spend shooting in low light is very minimal. I'm mostly in a very well-lit area or a studio. If I'm doing client work, I'm certainly not doing it in the dark. I'm taking my lighting with me. And all of this to say that the FX30 is an extremely capable camera. It's going to hold up in most situations. And as long as you pair it with quality microphones, you can increase the efficiency of all of your post-production workflows. While you're on site with your client, you don't have to worry about whether or not the camera is going to overheat or it's not going to perform how you want it to. And the lens options in an APS-C camera are going to be more affordable, but they're still going to give you that quality content that you're really looking to produce if you are making videos here on YouTube. All right, so let me know what you think about this recommendation. And if you have another one, leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again in the next video.